Wait, steak is inferior.
Inferior. Yep. To chicken. The dirty birds.
So that's why it's unpopular.
Yep. I do not understand why everyone constantly obsesses over steaks.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another week of the Powered by Piedmontese podcast. And Joe, you're here.
Oh, it feels so good today as well.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be seen.
The Huskers don't play this weekend.
That means one thing. We're not losing.
No losing. Oh, my goodness. Do you see most of our fans are probably not Husker fans? Is that probably a fair statement?
Yeah, I suppose. Outside of those that are, here in the office, diehards.
Yeah, we've been losing for going on 20 years. Our program actually sponsored the Huskers in a variety of different things for a number of those years, but we decided to pull a little bit of that away, wait till better seasons ahead.
Calmer seas, we'll call it. Yeah, for sure. But also, they still do eat a wide array of our snack items.
Yes.
In addition to all the athletes at the university eating our ground beef and some steak items as well.
What was it, a few years ago when LSU won the national championship? What did they bring to their nutrition program that year that most people probably don't realize?
Beef snack sticks.
From?
Certified Piedmontese.
Damn right.
Yep.
And it was kind of neat that they reach out. We start selling them snack sticks.
A blinding amount of snack sticks at that.
And they go win the whole natty championship.
I think I see a direct correlation.
Perhaps powered by Piedmontese?
Perhaps the, name of this podcast.
Yes.
Maybe that gave it the rights.
Well, yeah. Anyway, I'll still root for the Huskers this weekend, even though they're not playing. I can feel like they're winning. So pretty exciting. Should be a nice weekend.
Absolutely. And nice cooler fall weathers are finally sinking in. So that's also a plus.
Gosh, it feels good. Well, we have a couple more stories today. I thought last week's story, it ended on a bit of a grossy.
It did. And also, I, believe it or not, came semi-prepared today, and I might have one as well.
Yeah, I got your message that you have a story. I don't know if I'm excited for it or not, but, again, this is a team. We're a team. I can't just ball hog, and it's only my way or the highway.
Yeah, you got to think about our listeners. Do they just want to hear you
mumble through stories?
Haphazardly read a story on Reddit?
Probably not, but we'll see. But can I at least go first?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. I have two stories for you, and both of them are Am I the A-holes?
Perfect.
Okay. The first one. Am I the a-hole for evicting my boyfriend's daughter for respecting my vegan lifestyle? So I already know where you're leaning on this, but the story is kind of juicy. Amy, who's 19, and I have never gotten along well, but what she did recently took the cake. And through the story, this is a girl posting the story.
Okay. Fair enough.
Now, I have followed a strict vegan diet for 12 years now. It's something very important to me, and Amy is not unaware of this. Her father and I have lived with me in my house for 2 years, and she has never had the right attitude. Always rude and snide and ordering her father around and trying to do the same to me. She even smokes weed in the room that I let her sleep in, despite me asking numerous times to do that outside the house. Huh. You can smoke, just
not inside.
Not in here. But she even brings non-veg food over and hides it in her room. A strict rule that I had for them moving in was no meat in the house. But she laughs in my face if I try and make her stop. Recently, Amy and a group of friends got high and thought it would be funny to replace all the stock cubes in my house with beef ones. And I cooked a stew, and after eating it, she pulls out an empty beef stock pack and laughs in my face, asking if I like the taste of cows. And guesses that I'm a regular murderer now and she can just chill out. Now, I waited for her to leave, and then I removed her stuff and texted her that she was evicted from my house and can go stay with her friends instead. My boyfriend is very upset, and his ex-girlfriend is hitting me up on my phone with insults over disrupting Amy's life and schedule. I think after 2 years of disrespect, I was too generous to begin with not making her leave earlier. Am I the a-hole for this?
That house sounds like a prison. 2 years of no meat. Meat is contraband in this prison.
And I don't have a stepdaughter, but, I'm trying to assimilate a situation like this. But she even says, I let her sleep in this room. That sounds very cozy.
But that also seems like they might be doomed if her and her boyfriend do decide to progress in their relationship. Sounds like a pretty hairy situation.
Well, and she's a pretty strict diet. It's funny enough how this whole thing, she's just bagging on this, her boyfriend's daughter. Never once did she talk about her boyfriend and how he treats the veganism either.
And is the ex-girlfriend like the baby,
Oh, you noticed that slipped in at the end there?
is that like the baby mama of the daughter?
Oh, I suppose so. It doesn't say, but that would make sense.
If they're reaching out saying, how could you demonize my daughter for smoking pot in your bedroom?
Well, in the room that you let her sleep in. She's also 19. Okay. Again, doesn't say if she's going to school or not. These are some details. Again, would be nice to know. I'm not going to go ask.
I'd also be curious on the stew that she's making. Is that like a tofu stew, or I mean, if it's vegan?
Well, so stock cubes. So I'm assuming it's either those bouillon cubes or just literally frozen stock cubes.
Right, but like, what kind of stew is she making with those stock cubes?
I don't know. I'm not a vegan cook.
I mean, you can't. I mean, yeah, is it like spinach stew?
I don't know. Chickenless noodle soup. God only knows.
Gross.
But now, this relationship, again, this has been a rocky road for 2 years. I can already tell. Like, remember we had a few stories ago where like you don't want this person in your life. She's 19. She wants her out of the house anyway. This was just the one that tipped the scales.
Yeah, and again, I'd like more information on the boyfriend because he's kind of an enigma in this story. But like, what is his thoughts on all this? Is he also vegan?
Oh, shoot. So I don't see any edits to this. So unfortunately, this is all we get. So again, just how it's centered just on these two ladies. That's where I feel there's so much tension between this, that this story like has nothing to do with the boyfriend. It really has nothing to do with veganism. She just wants this girl out.
Well, yeah, especially when her friends come over and they get stoned to the bone and then mix all the cubes up. Pretty funny prank, but like if you're doing this to a vegan of several years, not so funny.
No, not at all, because she's clearly very passionate about it. She even says so. I have never indulged, in the weed. So it's hard for me to know if you do get blasted, stoned to the bone, as you say, at what point you're like, oh, it'd be awesome. My dad's girlfriend is a vegan. Let's replace her stock cubes with beef cubes. It's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, and then we'll TP the house afterwards.
So, I mean, again, kudos that this is such a very intentional prank. And again, that has very serious consequences. The lady's homeless now. And she says she goes stay at her friend's house. Who knows what that situation's like? Is she sleeping outside with the dogs?
On a sidewalk, tent camp?
Yeah. So this boyfriend's going to go home with his daughter's now kicked out of the house. Maybe she can go stay with the baby's mama here. But like, I'm probably going to stand up for my daughter and say she stays or we both go.
Or it could be some sort of, slap on the wrist reprimand. Like, hey, that my girlfriend, your de facto stepmom, who's letting you sleep in her bedroom, an extra bedroom, like just be cordial.
Yeah. We're making a lot of assumptions here that, this is all friendly, but
not a ton of context here though. That's
no
vitally important.
And so this also has a popular voting result that we just recently started liking. Everyone sucks.
Yes.
I mean, really the boyfriend here probably not engaging in this relationship or conversation. The daughter, the girlfriend, it's just a total disaster.
You know what? It's part of 2023, I guess, right?
I'd also say it's part of being a vegan.
I think that has a strong factor on the common denominator.
And remember a few weeks ago we brought up again, to be a meat eater and in a relationship with a vegan, there's a likelihood that it cannot work. Not likelihood, it just can't work. And this obviously is another thing that proves that.
Well, there's too many roadblocks and hurdles to get through.
Yeah. So love that everyone sucks and totally agree. That wasn't a great way to start the podcast, was it?
It always is the vegans. It gets us off track, but everyone does suck. So
okay. Well, let's move on.
Please.
Okay. Everyone sucks. Next one. Now, am I the a-hole for not preemptively telling all my dinner guests that the food contained deer meat? You're a hunter, aren't you?
Interesting. Yeah, I like this.
Okay. I'm not a hunter, but I don't mind deer, but here we go. A couple weeks ago, my dad's friend gave my dad some deer meat that he hunted last fall. I guess he was wanting to get rid of it since it was getting a little old. Probably butcher wrapped. Freezer burned to death.
Oh,
sounds tasty.
To oblivion.
My dad offered me some. It was vacuum sealed, stored in a friend's deep freeze since November, and looked to be in good shape. So I took some. I had some friends over this week and I thought it'd be cool to make something with deer. I made a Mexican dish called salpicon. You familiar?
Never touch the stuff.
From the deer shoulder, where you cook and shred the meat and marinate it in citrus juice and serve it with cold chopped radishes, cilantro, and onion. Everyone loved it, but I'll admit there was no way to know it was deer because it was shredded and marinated. I mentioned it in conversation that I was making deer, so most people knew I didn't make it to a point to tell everybody. Someone mentioned that you wouldn't think it was beef. My friend's wife asked what it was, and I told her it was deer, and she freaked out. She made some disgusting noises, stood over the sink like she might vomit, but didn't. Then she came back so mad, saying, "Why are you serving us deer? That's disgusting. I don't eat deer." You have to tell people before serving exotic ingredients. Sounds like something you would say.
For sure.
Now, I apologized, and we had a little back and forth about it, but basically her point is that if you're serving out of the ordinary foods, then you have to tell people ahead of time. If someone doesn't eat pork, for example, they know pork is a common food and are aware to make sure the host knows and will check to make sure there's no pork in something. But no one expects deer to be served, so wouldn't even think about checking. Now, I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. This guy's a lengthy story.
Pretty long-winded, yeah.
Now, the poster says, "I don't think it was strange. I did mention to others that it was deer, just as conversation. Everyone acted that, that sounds good, man. But she started saying things like, just in case, here's a list of animals I don't eat. Deer, rats, dogs, cats, and possums, etc. I was getting annoyed at this point and jokingly said, don't worry, next time I'll make a special plate of chicken nuggets and fries just for you. Now, we eventually changed the subject. She was fuming the rest of the dinner and left pretty soon after. I asked people after that if I was wrong, and most said I should have announced at the table that there was deer in it, since it's not a common ingredient. Everyone else did eat and enjoyed the deer, so, am I the a-hole?
I don't think so, no. And also with that, like, would it have made her feel better if he was like, oh, yeah, sorry, it's not deer, it's actually elk, or it's moose?
Sounds better than deer.
What's the difference?
Or could you have said venison?
Sure, but still, but also, like, I almost am willing to bet that this lady probably has never eaten it, or doesn't even know that it does taste good.
Mm-hmm.
So she's unwilling to try it, especially with her comments on rats, dogs, cats.
You can't lump a deer into that same group of species or animals. Sorry.
No,
they're far from different. From being the same.
You're going from a wild animal to a domesticated house pet.
Yeah, and as far as a wild animal goes, a pretty nice way to think about how it lives its life is roaming through fields, pastures, and forests.
And if we didn't hunt them, what kind of problems would that present?
You'd be smashing them with your car every 2 days.
They'd be everywhere.
Yeah. And so, yes, she didn't bring up the hunting, so I doubt she really cares about the hunting aspect of deer. But deer is largely just eating fruits, berries, foraging for...
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, a pretty nice diet of stuff. Now, the one qualm about, I guess, eating venison is just the leanness.
Right, and the gamey flavor that can come from an uncontrollable diet.
But again, in most time that you're cooking this stuff, this guy was obviously marinating it and breaking it down to shred it and stuff. So that's a typical approach to deer.
And it sounds delightful.
Yeah, never heard of that dish before. I probably did a terrible job of pronouncing it, but again, it sounds like a nice time. We brought up a few weeks ago about at school in western Nebraska that put kangaroo meat in chili. I think that is more exotic than the deer.
100%, especially because kangaroo aren't exactly roaming the plains of western Nebraska.
No. And obviously, I don't know what region this person's from. Like, if this is a Midwestern story from Nebraska, I don't think anybody would think deer is weird.
And I can relate a lot to this story as well, because I'll actually do something very similar, but it's more of like a barbecue pulled meat sandwich, pulled meat, because it's either like, say I go like duck or goose hunting, and I'll just kind of throw everything into a crock pot, braise it all the way down, and then shred it and barbecue sauce it. And you make pulled beef barbecue sandwiches, and you tell people to try it, and then they're like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. What is it? And then you tell them, oh, it's a goose that I shot from the sky.
Okay.
And then they're like, ugh, that's gross. But it's like, you just 2 seconds ago said how good it was.
Okay. So for a second there, I thought you were saying you did a melting pot of meats. I would have a problem with that.
Duck and goose. Because a wild duck breast is like really tiny.
Mm-hmm.
And then a goose breast is actually pretty good sized, and it's red meat.
So more, you did a pulled fowl sandwiches.
FOWL, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you could have a nice wordplay on that in the menu, to your friends and stuff. But would you mix?
But it wasn't foul tasting.
No, of course not. Now, would you mix fowl meat with beef and chicken and literally have a hodgepodge of shredded meat? Would you tell someone that you had goose in it at that point?
That would be interesting, and I think I wouldn't make a sandwich out of it. I think I would almost do something like a
stew,
like a cottage pie of sorts with just shredded meats, assorted meats.
Yeah,
and I think it would be delightful because who doesn't like anything with, carrots and peas and mashed potatoes?
Okay, so as a hunter and a fisherman and a beef guy, you eat a lot of meats. Is there a meat out there that you think you would want disclosed to you ahead of time? Okay, and with the context that you have, we'll eat this and enjoy it. Okay.
I appreciated the fact that they said it was vacuum sealed because I've also had like non-vacuum sealed game meat that had been in a freezer for I don't even know how long, and I was sicker than a dog. So I appreciate that was disclosed, but in terms of a game meat that I wouldn't try,
not just game, I'm just saying meat
in general. Oh, I'm sure there's probably some Asian animals or like
some bat wing.
Yeah, like I wouldn't have bird nest soup.
Oh, of course not. But like
it's a delicacy.
In the context here that you're eating something that looks normal, smells normal, eats normal. But then after the fact, I come and tell you that actually was made with squirrel meat.
I'll eat just about anything. So I would try it. No matter what it is, I'd try it.
So after the fact, I told you that you
unless it's roadkill. Like if you actually if you for some reason went and shot a raccoon and didn't tell me that it was a raccoon, and then you said, "Here, try this," I'd be like, "Okay."
Yeah, I have a neighbor about a mile away who actually does that. If a deer gets hit, he'll, especially if it's fresh, he'll go get it, and like I said, take it for meat. Puts everything in a crock pot for the most part.
But also think about all of the food that you've turned away from or turned down because it doesn't sound good. Like people lose their minds over turtle stew. I've never had it. I would try it, but people who say they like it love it.
Turtle, I don't know. Me and reptiles, again, they fall along the same line of seafood for me. If they're gross to look at as a creature or an animal, I don't want to eat it. I want to eat, and this is going to sound awful, but I want to eat something that looks nice. That's got this cute fairy tale way of living, pasture raised, and whatever the case may be. I want it to have this great story that I'm eating, and eating something that looks gross, lives in the mud, eat bugs.
So you might eat a tortoise, but not a turtle.
No, I don't like the look of any of those. Again, I want something more like with fur.
Okay, fair enough.
Scales, no.
You're not a fish guy, so yeah, no.
Or any reptile. So the voting results, this guy was not the a-hole.
Fair enough.
The poor lady, again, I think she has a right to be a little bit upset. But again, I would like to say, well, did you enjoy it or not? You already ate, right? So it's already done.
Well, and what does he do for future parties? Does he just put the menu on the front door?
Okay,
This is what's being served tonight?
We've done this for 6-7 weeks now. In the efforts of pure communication, anytime you're having a dinner party, I think you need to have a very explicit menu and prices if need be, posted and shared to everybody months in advance.
Yes. I'm going to send a menu out for a party I haven't even planned yet.
Yes. And very explicit details, how it's prepared, what's going in it, what's not going in it. That's why you just, again, don't get canceled.
For sure. You're just protecting your own back, for sure.
Well, okay, that'll wrap up my two stories to pave the way for yours.
It's my turn, finally. I'm actually
Don't blow it.
Yeah, I'm going to try not to, but I'm actually going to bring in a different segment, and this is an unpopular opinion.
Wait, the thread is unpopular opinion.
Correct. I don't know if we've done one of these before.
I've never heard of this one.
All right. Well, and this is relatively fresh from 9 days ago. And its subject line is, steak is far inferior to chicken. And then, let's see here.
Wait, steak is inferior?
Inferior. Yep. To chicken. The dirty birds.
So that's why it's unpopular.
Yep. I do not understand why everyone constantly obsesses over steaks. Steak is an extremely overpriced food that is extremely underwhelming. I've been far more impressed by different varieties of chicken that I've had than any steak. And I say that having had steak at 3 Michelin star restaurants and some of the most popular steakhouses in America.
Ooh, what a flex.
Don't even get me started on overpriced steakhouses that have the most bland, basic food for obscene prices. I get it being a celebratory dish, but come on. Go have some lamb or well-cooked chicken that's actually worth the price and tastes good. Every time someone suggests we go to a steakhouse for dinner, I already know they have absolutely no taste in food and enjoy setting money on fire.
Oh my God. So what's the thread of this one again?
Unpopular opinion.
Oh, okay. So clearly he knows this is an unpopular opinion. Otherwise, he wouldn't have posted it to this thread. Guy or girl, does it say?
Doesn't say.
What a shame. One, I disagreed with everything he said.
They are getting, this was from 9 days ago, and they are getting abused in the comment section.
For good reason.
Scalding.
How could you
hot
say
take.
those things? I mean,
Chicken.
it hurt. Okay, so I do eat chicken, okay? I'm going to put that out there. I'm embarrassed to say it. I have chicken probably 2 times a week. My wife likes chicken because she likes to cook chicken. It's more forgiving, like chicken breast, for example, than trying to nail a perfectly cooked steak. And I would say that chicken is a blank canvas for flavors. That is one of the best outside the price too, right? Is that you can treat it with whatever flavor you want. It'll soak it up, and again, you'll taste marinades, you'll taste the seasoning, and it's a source of lean protein. But like, no one praises how good chicken is.
Yeah, it's a cheap, economical, quick thing that, yeah, but you can also do what you just described with beef as well.
Yeah. And would you ever go to a restaurant and pay $70 for a chicken dish?
No.
Like no one does, because it's cheap. It's not that beef's a premium because yes, it takes all this extra time to raise it and care for it and produce it. But my God, how could he say those things?
But even still, like I just got back from Vegas and I did have some Iberico pork in Vegas. Iberico pork is like, creme de la creme of
the pork world.
Yeah. And it was $65 at a nice restaurant. But like that's the best pork that you can, find. And it's $65 in Vegas. Where they have, whole duck, etc. for $200 and some dollars, same restaurant.
I buy it all the time, but yeah.
But the pork is $65. Like,
but not with.
But can you tell me that chicken should cost more than that?
I mean, they're large. It's the most sold meat in the country, in the U.S. by a long ways. One, again, because of how quick they are to raise and grow, and how cheap it is literally just to produce them.
Yes.
So there's nothing premium about chicken. Yes, you might have some fully pasture-raised chickens and all that, but again, it's largely still going to roughly taste the same.
For sure. And also in the comments, a lot of people are saying, I think the poster has like the Texas tick disease. So they're just very upset that they can no longer eat beef.
And so they're lashing out.
Resentful. Or another person says, I think you have carbon monoxide poisoning.
So there's a chemical imbalance here that's leading to why he has this unpopular opinion. But like, he didn't even say like what experience he had with steak that led him to this. I mean, did he spend good money on a piece of USDA choice that wasn't very good?
Maybe the 3 Michelin star restaurant ruined it for him.
Yeah, I mean, like, and again, you're probably getting in a 3 Michelin star restaurant. You're likely getting a very small bite of something, right? And so you get 2 bites, and you might have spent $200 at this Michelin star restaurant. Yeah, you might say like, oh, the beef wasn't worth it, but you're paying more than just the beef. You're paying for the experience, probably the other 6 courses that you have there. So again, tell us what led you to having such a nasty opinion about beef.
Another one that I really liked was, what a beautifully unpopular opinion. But personally, I think chicken is nothing more than a vehicle for the sauce.
Yeah, kind of what we just said.
Yeah.
It's a blank canvas, so like there's nothing special about it. Again, that's why it's cheap. Gosh, okay. In my head, I'm thinking like, what's the voting results? This guy, the a-hole, clearly, based on the amount of comments and engagement this guy's getting, no one really agrees with him.
No.
So what does he stand to gain by posting this?
Just an unpopular opinion. He probably wanted to get skewered.
And then he actually really loves beef. He just wants to galvanize the steak people of the world to come together in one harmonious post and thread.
But also just do better. Like if you don't like something, like cook it until you do.
I've had bad experiences with chicken. I cooked it bad, overcooked it, wherever the case may be.
Medium rare?
Oh, never. Oh my God, that's the one thing I will always comfortably go over on chicken. Because again, just put more sauce on it, and it'll be fine.
And I think that's why everyone loves the chicken thighs, because they're afraid, just like we talked about that Poison documentary, they're afraid to undercook chicken. So a thigh you can literally nuke it and it still has moisture and juiciness to it. Whereas a breast, if you overcook a breast, like, watch out.
It's just, you'll have to send me that story, because I want to dissect the language he uses to describe all this stuff. Because again, or maybe we should comment back and say, what bad experiences did beef give you? Because it's probably buried in the comments somewhere, right?
Yeah, but for him just to say, like, it's just totally underwhelming.
Yeah. Again, bad experience, or try better beef.
That's it.
So again, not saying you have to try one of ours, but it is a Piedmontese podcast. So try a beef that's raised right. That, yes, commands a high value, but the performance is going to match your expectations on there. But try it again.
Well, and that also goes to show too, I mean, not saying that all restaurants are like this, but just because it's cooked at a restaurant doesn't inherently make it better. So you don't even know what kind of beef that 3 Michelin star restaurant was sourcing.
Yeah, unless they hit it on the menu and still charging you $200 for it.
And they still have to hit food costs.
What's the last time you had steak at a restaurant that wasn't the one that we have here on site?
It's been a long time.
Long time.
Long time.
And one of the main reasons that we don't eat steak at a restaurant, one, obviously, is grossly overpaying for something they're just buying on the market for the most part. But it's like we nail it at home because we're buying better beef.
Yep. I can get best steakhouse in town's in my kitchen.
Mm-hmm. You charge for that?
Good thing. Oh, yeah. Only for dinner parties.
In a menu posted well ahead of time.
Well communicated in advance.
Well, this is one of the first episodes where we didn't have any relationships involved outside the girlfriend and her not yet daughter-in-law.
The vegan.
Yeah, what a travesty. We need to find relationship stories, because seeing how beef connects us all. This guy, beef's driving a wedge between him and everybody. This is the guy that will disappear and no one's going to miss him. I hate to say that.
He might actually, like, the unpopular opinion might actually get him uninvited from dinner parties.
Yeah, so he can live his life alone as a hermit.
Yeah.
Eating chicken next to the swamp.
Yeah.
Oh, what a poor guy. Shall we wrap it up?
I think so. Good talk today.
So go ahead and use when you check out on our site, cpbeef.com, use the code PBP26 and you're going to get 26% off all the beef items on our site. Now, we do have a code for some free product in response.
All one word in response.
All one word in response. I hate to give the idea that we can give someone chicken. I don't think we can do that.
I won't do that.
You won't do that.
No.
So what do we want to give them? What is a big week?
What about like some beef bacon?
Some beef bacon to wrap around your chicken.
Yes.
Or steak.
Multi-species.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do a package of a 1.5 pound package of our beef bacon. I like that. Let's do that.
With code in response.
With code in response.
But don't forget the PBP26.
For 26% off. We're just giving it away.
Oh my God.
Okay. We'll see you next week.